Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back with another Sister Wives season 16 review. What a way to end the season. I mean, what a way to end the season. I'm going to try to be calm, but I've already feel myself getting hype because I think there's some things that we need to do at the very beginning. And one of those things that we need to do is allow the bald eagle to know something because he seems to lack intelligence. So I think that, the audience that we are, the community that we are, we need to educate him on some things. Number one, name calling is abusive. Withholding intimacy as a punishment can also be seen as abusive, emotionally abusive, but abusive. Telling your wife you were never attracted to her can be seen as abusive. Stringing wives along for years knowing that you don't want them, fill it in with me, abusive. Misusing their funds, restricting their access to their money, that is also a form of abuse. It's financial abuse. Cody Brown is abusive. He is. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching this. And when we get to the part where Christine makes her announcement, I am so glad that she found the strength to leave that clown. The best thing she could ever do was fling him in the garage so he can kindly escort himself and his boxes off of her what's the word? Premises. I can't even speak. I'm so okay. What's funny to me is the Feathers trusted the nanny, right? But they refused to trust their own family. They refused to trust the kids and the wives. Agree with them or not, Janelle's kids, Christine's kids, Janelle and Christine were being very honest about their stance on things and the way that they felt. However, the nanny, the tutor, the educator that she is, did not tell them everything that she was doing, despite the Feather people thinking she did. What she probably did, and I'm not trying to come down on the nanny, is she probably did what a lot of people did, which is say what you wanted to hear, because she wants to keep her job. Next, before I forget, I had to move it to the top of the notes. When Cody and Robin were in the car getting tested, right? They asked, had they been tested before? Cody said no. But in a previous episode, it was said that they were all tested for Christmas, meaning everybody else was tested, but the Feathers weren't. So everyone else has to be given tests, but your bird doesn't? I don't understand. But let's go ahead and get into it, because I got a lot more to say, y'all. Don't worry, I got a lot more to say. So the episode begins with Christine shoveling the thinnest layer of snow off of her sidewalk. I'm guessing that she didn't want it to turn into ice, because we know that the bald eagle would not be out there to do any of that. The bald eagle tells us that it's early January and that the family has been careful because of Christmas. We see Mary in her own little land. We see Janelle walking the dogs. We see the various wives doing different things as he talks. And because Christmas was a success, now he wants everyone to get together again for Ariella's birthday. The Feathers only want to get together when it's convenient or when it benefits them. Interesting that you're willing to do it for certain holidays and certain kids' birthdays, but it hadn't been a thing before, because I refuse to believe that tests weren't available to them until the end of the year, when tests were available to everybody else prior to that. It's not making sense to me. I know my timeline is a little jacked up, but they were able to take tests before they took it for the holidays, okay? Cody wants the family to get together to celebrate. I said that. Janelle said something that I didn't catch before. She says, Robin called us up and said that Ari has demanded demanded. I didn't catch the demanded part before. I don't know why, but Ari has demanded that the whole family get together to celebrate her birthday. I see what Janelle did there, and I like it because demand is an interesting word. She didn't say she wants us all to be there. She said she demands, meaning like the things that she desires gets fulfilled, and I may be reaching here, unlike the others. What Ari wants, Ari gets, right? Since Ari is the bird's kid, everybody has to fall in line, and they all are heading for testing. They all are heading for testing. That's everybody, though, with the exception of the bird and the bald eagle and their tenders. We see Christine and her children doing the nose test, you know, the one that touches all the way up here, always makes you sneeze, eyes water, all that stuff. Christine says that the COVID test will make it easier for them to hang out, but it's not smoothing over anything else because there's a lot of frustration because of how Cody has handled the pandemic. And he's been rigid, and it's exhausting and it's exasperating for a lot of the family, meaning the OG 13 and the OG 3 are finding this difficult. And I'm including Mary because even though we're not seeing a bunch of Mary's in this equation as well because she has been isolating herself majority of the time unless she had some business to handle for the sake of being able to see the family and spend holidays with the family. And she's missing out on precious time that she doesn't even realize she won't have again with her mom. The bird is happy. I mean, she is grinning from ear to ear in her confessional because everybody is there to dote on Ari. She tells us, you know, Ariella is turning 5. And I'm just excited that everyone got tested so we could be together for her birthday. And I'm just so happy that they're doing it. Janelle's like, everybody's up close and personal. There's no mask. This is good. This is a great time. So we have that, and then we have the bald eagle, who's at the other end of the spectrum, because he tells us that he's glad that everybody's there for Ariella because it's attention that he wants her to have. I don't really like that word there, but whatever. And even though he's glad that they're there, he's still feeling a way because of the criticism that he got from his older kids. Now, he uses the word, he's still a little gun shy, but I don't understand what gun shy, that means you're nervous, you're apprehensive. What is he nervous or apprehensive about? It doesn't make sense to me that he used that term. He says he can't forget it, but what it is he really can't forgive it. That his older kids called him out for neglecting them. He says he's still upset about the disrespect that he got, and it pretty much ruined his holiday season. What? Whose fault is that? Cody has been throwing a forever tantrum because they didn't bow down and listen to Robin's, the nanny, the doctor, his rules. He is mad, and he's remained that way even now, 4 years later. And I'm saying 4 years later because I saw a little comment he made about Garrison after his passing, and I still sense a little bit of anger there and lack of accountability in his statement. He says, it's made me so upset, the disrespect I was getting. So Cody's love is unconditional. Because what was disrespectful? That they didn't agree with you? That they said that they felt like you were wrong? Maybe they used the wrong term at times, but you're going to say that they were disrespecting you, Cody, when you've done way worse to them. Cody then lists some of the ways that he's neglected his kids, mentioning that, he didn't attend Isabel's surgery, and because of the rules that he came out and them not following it, some of the kids weren't able to come to Christmas, and that he hasn't visited some of the wives and the kids for a long time. But his priority at this point is to protect Ariella. And his adult kids need to learn that his world doesn't revolve around any of them since they're adults. They're not expecting your world to revolve around them. They're expecting for you to love them. He said, my obligation is to my minor children. The last time I checked, truly, Isabel and Savannah are also minor children. But you felt no obligation to them, so Cody's a liar. He says that he also has an obligation to the kids who keep my rules and go to school. I can help them out in any way that I can. So basically, it's like bump them because they're not doing what I want them to do, which made me think I need to call both of my parents later. Because the way that Cody acts and the things that we've witnessed for me and, maybe for some of you all, it makes us reflect, right? I got pregnant my senior year of college. My parents, like a lot of parents, were not happy about it. It broke their hearts. My mother was extremely religious at that point. God forbid her kid have a child out of wedlock and all those other things. But that didn't change their love for me. Do you think that just because I didn't follow their rules that I can no longer be a part of their family? This is what Cody does. If you don't say and do what he wants you to do, he ices you out. His logic is skewed. Janelle then comes to the front and calls Cody out on his crap, but she does it in such a nice, nasty way that I appreciate it. I'm paraphrasing here, but Janelle was like, look, I don't know what he's talking about because we've never pushed our kids out of the door as soon as they turn 18. He's always been the type of guy who's wanted his kids to come home. But now that what they're doing doesn't suit him, boom, he wants to push them out. She then points out what we all know. Round of applause to Janelle. She says, there's adult children at Robin's house, and they're not being pushed out because they're obeying the rules. The Birds kids have no choice because the Birds kids, with the exception of maybe Dayton, they're not independent thinkers. If they were, they would have not allowed for the Feather crew to deceive them the way that they have for years. They would do like the rest of us, go on TV and see for themselves what was said. Cody tells us that some of his kids aren't supportive of him. Some of them aren't supporting him, and some are. And it's just like they're doing it based off of what their mothers are doing, because some moms are supportive and some aren't. But he has a wife, the Bird, that told their kids, we're going to do this. And if you don't do this, if you don't obey your father, then we're going to have to find other arrangements. Just say that it's Robin. We know who you're talking about. Next, we get to watch Cody as he gushes about Ariella as the other wives and the kids are forced to watch. And if I'm going to be honest, some part of it saddened me. And I think it's because we know the state where the family is now. And I just think about Gabe sitting out there crying out to his father, asking him to be there for him, as these kids who barely interact with him have to sit and watch as you say things to Ariella that some of them probably haven't heard in years or maybe never heard. If they didn't know before, they definitely know now that she's the favorite. I like to say, this is going to sound bad, but y'all know at this point, I'm just going to say it. I like to say that I'm my dad's favorite. I do. I used to say that I was my grandmother on his side's favorite as well. Now, I know I'm not the favorite on my other grandmother's side. My youngest cousin out of all of us, we all have determined a long time ago that he's the favorite. But my point is, I feel like I'm my dad's favorite because we talk often. We get along very well. I have a lot of similarities to him. I've grown to really appreciate and respect him, seeing the man that he is and what he's done for our family. But We joke about it, but I'm not really his favorite. And if I am, he would never tell me that. And he doesn't show it because he treats us all the same way. The same way when my sister needed to find a car, he stopped what he was doing to help her. He did the same thing for me, and I'm 10 years older than my sister, to make sure that he stopped everything to help me. That's who he is. That's what he does. We can't tell if we're the favorite or not, but I'm his favorite. But in this scene with Ariella, I'm going some here with this. Sorry, I'm on a tangent. In the scene with Ariella, you can tell that she's his favorite, okay? He gets down on a knee as he's just gushing over her. You're my sweetie, and I love you so much. You're so compassionate and so good at being bossy. I think you're just really sweet. And that's the reason I'm calling you my sweetie. You're bossy, but you're my sweetie. Okay, if you say so. Okay, apparently it's this tradition of the Brown family where they do a toast where everybody says something nice about the person whose birthday it is. So everybody goes around the table and says something nice about her. It gets to Christine, and Christine is turning red. And Ariella says that she's red. And Christine does look very, very red. And this is one thing that I love about my complexion, because there are times, especially if I'm crying, that I get like a little red undertones in here and all that other stuff. But for the most part, because it is brown, if I'm blushing or if I'm embarrassed, you can't tell. Now, my facial expressions may give me away at times, but my complexion does not. So as I saw her getting red, I was like, oh my God, I'm embarrassed for her. I hope that is not like her really being embarrassed. I hope maybe it was just hot in the room or something like that. But she was getting redder and redder as they talked about it. Done with that. Everybody is happy that they can finally get together and that they're acting like a normal family. And Christine says, now that we've had the testing, we can start getting together like we did prior to COVID. So once a month or so, just like we did before COVID, we could do that. And I put on the captions to make sure that I heard her correctly. Because if you're getting together once a month or so, that means that they aren't getting together often. And we know they weren't. Once a month? Once a month, when the furthest anyone lives away, I think, is 30 minutes. Correct me if I'm wrong. What's the problem? Why can't y'all get together more often? Everybody seems very optimistic. The party was a success. It's all great until 3 days later. We get to see a clearly bothered Bird as she sits down on the couch, and she tells us that over the weekend, the family got together for Ariella's party. She says, Ariella was happy to have her family there. Well, after that, the next day, I got a call. She has to do a whole bunch of pauses because it's dramatic. I got a call from my childcare provider, my nanny, and my tutor for the kids. And she said, that her husband and her were testing positive for COVID. It was really scary. Isn't it ironic that the Bird kept accusing the other wives of being so careless? That the Bird and the bald eagle kept accusing them of putting the family at risk, even though that entire time she had someone else coming into her house on a frequent basis to work with her kids, putting them at risk as well. But if Christine never pointed that out, we would have never heard about it. She then says, right now, there is a possibility that we all have COVID. And it's because we got together. And I don't I don't wanna I don't want that to make us all go, okay, we can't do this anymore. Make them say that? It wouldn't be them that said that. It would be you. I was like, what? Cody says the nanny's been doing. I'm sorry. It's just like, what, girl? Okay. That marinated on me a little bit. Like, she really like, girl, you're really trying to convince us and make us believe that you wouldn't be the one to say it. It wouldn't be the family. It would be you. Cody says, she's been doing everything right. How did she get exposed to COVID? Like a lot of other people who felt like they were doing everything right. I never got it, but there are people who were doing the same things as me that did. If you went to the store, you were at risk. If you went to the doctors, you were at risk. If you went to the emergency room, for one thing, you were at risk of getting something else because you were surrounded by people in the emergency room that possibly had it. If you left your home at any point, you were at risk. So you don't need to play up the nanny being safe, because there are tons of other people, even some in this comment section, who know that they were trying to take as much precautions as possible, who still got it. Does it mean that I'm better or I was safer than the other people? No. It just means that when I went to the store, I was lucky enough or blessed enough at that time to not be around someone with my mask on who wasn't standing apart from me, or, there's things that happen. Standing in line, even though they had the markers on the ground, people were still all up on you. To this day, when I'm in a line, I still keep my space, and I get antsy when there's people too close to me because it's still out there. So don't act like you got to play up the nanny doing all of this stuff and her being safe. Like, just because some people's measures were different means that they deserve to get it. And that's kind of the way that he comes across to me. But I could be wrong. Y'all tell me what you think. The bird says, this just validates Cody. It just validates Cody. That, maybe getting together is a little bit too much of a risk. I don't know. It just really, it's really, really hard, and it's really, really frustrating. And I'm just praying that we're all okay. Her mind never turns off, because even in this moment when you're supposed to be scared about this thing, even in this moment, she's sitting here and she's letting people know, the family and the viewers, that when y'all watch this, it's not on me, it's on him. Your loyal wife is so quick to throw you under the bus, bald eagle, but you don't see it because she's oh so loyal to you. Yet here she is, and she's spinning that narrative yet again to make it seem like she had nothing to do with these rules. Next, we see the bald eagle and the feathers going to get a test. He's explaining the purpose of this test and what it does, meaning everybody else in the family, as I said earlier, has had multiple tests done at this point. And even though all of these people who have tests done, even though Robin and her children have been exposed multiple times to the nanny on more than one occasion, that this is their first time doing a test. But you want everybody else to get their nose dug up often because of what you think they're doing. Meanwhile, you don't know what your nanny is doing, and your family's not getting tested for anything. The hypocrisy is real. Robin feels upset that the exposure may have possibly came from her household, because she says, I've worked so hard. She's upset that Cody had to let the other wives know that her nanny exposed everybody. Christine says, look, it's maybe a little evil, But I can't help but chuckle at the fact that it was Robin and her nanny. That it was her nanny that possibly brought this into the family. And I guess I'm evil too because I laughed. I laughed. And then I laughed even harder when Robin actually got it. And then I got pissed because of the way that they played that up, but we'll get to that. But yeah, anyways, yeah, that was me laughing. Christine tells us that had it had been her or one of her kids who exposed everybody, that bald eagle and the bird would have basically been pissed, that they would have been in trouble. It would have been the same thing if it had been Janelle's. She suggests that, her husband would probably even feel vindicated that the exposure had came from one of them because they were the ones that were doing everything right and the other wives weren't. Janelle and Christine both say that they know that that's it. Once they got that call, they knew that that's it. That if this whole situation, the possibility of exposure is now going to keep them from hanging out because Janelle says some people will be too afraid again. I want Janelle to say it with her chest, who those some people are or whom those people are. Christine once again says it's really hard to see Cody having functioning relationships. We've heard Christine say this for years, but this time it's different. And this is when it gets juicy. We cut to Christine, who's in her room sitting on her bed. She's, very quiet. You could tell she's hurt. You could tell she's been thinking. She says, she's kept things private. It's hard to know what to tell, what not to tell. But she's basically decided to share this with us. She explains that Cody was helping her install a door to her bedroom area and that he kept saying that the door was needed to keep the cat out from the room in her inventory. So she says he just kept saying it over and over again to the point where she was like, okay, is this door really just about the cat? I didn't get it at first, but I think Christine was saying it that way because Christine's bedroom wasn't a bedroom with a door. It was a space that she made into a bedroom because she wanted to make sure that the girls all had rooms and she needed it because she was accustomed to having a much larger space. So the installation of the door for her equated to a possibility of them having intimacy, whereas the door for him was just to keep the cat out because he didn't want the cat up there. She says, he goes, I'm not really interested in that anymore. Excuse me? This is your wife. You're not interested in intimacy anymore. I'm not interested in having an intimate marriage anymore. I don't like your behavior. We'll see if you could be a good sister wife. I don't like your behavior. She's not a kid. She's your wife. See, this is when I know that Cody better be happy he was with these women who were taught to keep sweet, because my mouth alone would have checked Cody. I don't like to go there. I don't like to go there, but I know me. And there are certain things that for me will cause me to go off on you. And you being my husband, my man, the person who's supposed to be my best friend, speaking to me like that will then force me to go off on you verbally. It will. Not saying that it's right, but I'm not saying that it's wrong. This is the first time that he's probably admitted that to her in the way that he did. And for her, intimacy isn't just about them having relations. It's also about the hand holding and the kissing and the cuddling and the loving. But she gets none of that. She lets us know that she told him that's not enough for her, that she cannot have a marriage that does not have intimacy. Bald Eagle then explains to her that there are plenty of couples that are married but don't have intimacy. What? I'm not saying it's not possible, but that's not healthy. And I'm not going to do it. Me personally, I'm not going to do it. I'm not. I've been engaged before. And I had to do what I had to do. And when I saw it was going down the wrong pathway, we had that counseling, and that marital counseling revealed a lot of things, and there were some things that were being done that I should have been out of it way before we did all of that. I'm not going to be in a loveless marriage where you won't even be intimate with me. I'm not doing it. He goes, people do it all the time. I know couples that don't have intimate marriages. People like him and Mary. Christine says, we talked about it a little bit longer, but I went to bed and it's over. She tells us that it's not fair that Kody gets to continue to have these intimate relationships with other wives and he's not willing to do it with her. And she's right. Quote, what? So he gets to have an intimate marriage with other wives, but not me? And I'm going to have nothing for the rest of my life? Christine says that morning after we talked, Kody got up, he made his breakfast and he left, leaving her by herself and alone. He don't even really care about the situation, and he's not willing to do anything to rectify it, at least not yet. Not until later on, but we'll get to it. She tells us she's not sure what to do next because she's heartbroken. Her heart is shattered, to be honest. She says, of course I've known. I'm not that dumb. He said a while ago that he wasn't attracted to me or anything. That is not okay. It's not okay. So to act like years later, the next season, that you don't understand where this is coming from, and we're sitting here in this moment and we're getting all these flashbacks of the way that he treated her and the things that he said and how rude he was to her. And that alone shows you why she left. Christine says, I'm not okay staying in a marriage where there's no intimacy. That's not a real marriage. I'm not interested in a half marriage or a partial marriage or whatever it is that we have. And all of this is based on my behavior? No, it's based on his. Because if you don't do what he wants, he has a problem with you. As long as you do and say what he wants you to do and say, then it's okay. We then hear the bald eagle side. Of course, he kind of downplays it, but he says, Christine dropped an unexpected bomb. How is it unexpected if you later tell us that y'all have been unhappy for 12 years? But it's been an unexpected bomb. He says, I knew that we had serious trouble in our marriage for 12 years, but it's unexpected. 12 years? 12 years. So you telling me basically the whole time that you were on this show, just like Mary, you had issues, but you don't know why she left, and you're blindsided by her leaving, and Christine has destroyed your family and all this other stuff. But I'm looking at Christine like, oh my gosh, Christine, you really mastered keeping sweet. Because I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't. There's no way. I'm not built for it. I'm not that person. I can't do it. I can't do it. We see all the clips of her saying that she's unhappy, that she's jealous, that she's miserable. Going all the way back, you guys, to the first season of Kody treating her like crap, calling her a crybaby, saying she's betrayed him. And her honesty was one of the reasons why I liked Christine early on, because Christine was the only one to me that seemed to be the realist. She was saying what a lot of us thought, which is that sometimes she's jealous and that Robin coming to the family is hard for her. She was honest. Kody then tells us that Christine told him he's not allowed in her room anymore because her room is a special place. And we know nothing special has happened there with them for a long time. He tells us that he's thinking it could be a phase, but, maybe she actually kicked him out. He says she's been telling people in the family that she's going to leave him for years. And I want to know who's the snitch. Who told him that? Was it the kids? Was it the wives? Who's the snitch? Y'all tell me who you think the snitch was. Kody blames Christine for them not being intimate. She's murdered our intimacy with betrayal. I don't feel like being intimate because I've been betrayed. And he even said this in front of Nancy. And I don't understand how Nancy made that okay. What? What? Betrayed how? How are you betrayed? Because she wants to leave, you've been betrayed. Because you've treated her like crap, you've been betrayed. How about how you've betrayed her? Because Christine wanted to be the third and the final the way she talks wife. Christine didn't want there to be a fourth. She told you that. How has she been betrayed? Christine is in labor. And you're talking about a whole nother woman and her having a baby. Christina's in labor and you're going back to kiss the person that you're not even married to yet. Christine is in labor and you're thinking about the bird. Let's talk about betrayal. Let's talk about how you were supposed to watch her kid. And her kid, as a result of you watching her, became so dehydrated that she went into kidney failure, that she almost lost her life. And that rather than you making sure that you were at that hospital just as much as Christine was, you were busy going back to a family that could function without you because they had to do it for 14 days, 11 days, however many days when you went on your honeymoon. But you couldn't stay at the hospital with Christine with Truly. Let's talk about betrayal again. Let's talk about the fact that your daughter, who had scoliosis for all these years, who was suffering, you didn't realize she was in that much pain. And then on top of you not realizing she was in that much pain, you went and you decided, oh, I can't go to her surgery because I can't be away from Ariella and Saul that long. Let's talk about betrayal. Let's talk about how 1 minute Mary's catfish is what created y'all's division, and then the next is not. Let's talk about how you betrayed Robin's kids by sitting there with Robin, creating this narrative, making it seem like their father was some type of perv, that he was emotionally abusive and all those other things, when their mother's the one who's the problem. Let's talk about betrayal. I can go on and on and on about betrayal, but let me go back to my notes because I'm hot. You're betrayed because she wants to leave. That girl faked it for years for you, protected you even in that book. And you're betrayed? The wives, the OG 13, they all protected you, but you're betrayed. Calm down. So we see Christine go to Utah because she's throwing a baby shower for McKelty. And of course, none of the other parents are there. She explains that they have followed the regulations, and to make it as safe as possible, they're outside. We see them wearing masks and all that other stuff. She tells us that her older daughters know that things have been hard. I can't remember if she said kids or daughters. We'll just say the older kids know that things have been hard between her and Cody, because I don't know if Peyton was included in that. I want to know, what did they say? What did they hear? How did they know? Like, I know they saw some things, but what was being said? Did you tell them? Like, I want to know a little bit more about that. But Truly doesn't know what's going on. Christine tells us that she's done with Flagstaff and she wants to go away. She wants to be away from Cody and his functioning marriages. She tells us that the bald eagle is not welcome in her bedroom anymore. She knows he doesn't want to be there, so why does he have to come? He wants to talk about it some more, but she's done. She's then crying. It's another day she's back home. She says that she's decided to pack up Cody's crap. She neatly boxed up everything and put it in a garage. Let me tell y'all something. I want to say women, but I'm going to say people. But I know this all too well. When some people are finished, they are finished. And I am some people. Because the way that I packed up my ex's stuff, you would have thought that we were moving to a new place together. I packed this stuff up so nicely that it scared him. It scared him. Because I'm naturally a very organized person. And I packed it the way that I wanted it to be packed. So it might have said, so-and-so's bedroom, so-and-so's living room, so-and-so's closet. Yeah, I told him exactly what part to put that in his new place. that he needed to get without me. I sure did. I'm gonna make this thing as nice as possible. You one thing about me, when we end it, we're gonna end it. It's not gonna be hostile on my end. I can't speak for how it's gonna be on yours, but on me, you're not gonna get the satisfaction. I could be inside burning, but I'm not gonna show you. That might be a little petty, but it is what it is. So Christine says she knows Cody doesn't want or love her, but that he said he'll take care of her. And she's not having it. Go, Christine. I'm glad my head looks somewhat decent. Good grief. That would be a blooper. She'll pretend for a little bit, and then she breaks down. And she's like, what did I do so wrong to make him feel this way about me? And it's not you, Christine. It never was. It was him. But I felt bad seeing her cry because you could tell she was really hurting in that moment. She says it's too heartbreaking to watch Cody interact with Robin and Janelle and their kids. Notice she doesn't include Mary because Mary hasn't been interacting with him for a long time. She says she wants to be around people who want to be around her and like to be around her and her kids. And that Cody will realize how serious she is when she boxes up his crap. We go to Janelle, who reveals that both Garrison and Gabe have tested positive. So now she's worried that her and Savannah may have it. She's been taking vitamins and doing things to try to avoid it, but she's going to have to go get tested as well. Back to Christine's. Cody is in the garage. I think that he probably went out there to get away from Christine and her kids, no telling. So he's in the garage and he notices that there are boxes in the garage. He says, I came out here to the garage while I was at Christine's house, and I realized something weird was going on. It's Christine's house then, but later on, it's going to be his house. He reads the boxes and realizes that they all contain his stuff. Cody's books, Cody's clothes, Cody's nightstand. He turns the camera to himself and says, I guess I've been moved out of the house. I personally don't know what to think of this. This is not something we've discussed. I'm having a hard time not being a little frustrated by this. And she's having a hard time not slapping you out of... She's having a hard time not slapping you out of the nest. She's having a hard time not giving you what you actually deserve, which is a poop poop. She's having a hard time. He comes over another day, he says, and notices more stuff. Interesting how this guy, this clown, this dude, this man hasn't been there the entire time. But now that she says she doesn't want you no more, now all of a sudden you are coming and you're making all these appearances at the house. Isn't that something? He counts more boxes and sees more things. He says, I've been moved out of my house. This is not something we discussed. So after all your crap has been put in the garage, now you get it that she's done with you and she's serious. He's not sure what to do with the boxes. He says, I don't want to take any of it out of here yet because I honestly didn't know she was this serious. No, you knew she was serious. You just thought you would be able to do her like you did Mary and string her along for another 12 years. But Christine isn't having it. She tells us having him out feels good. She says there's a lot of uncertainties, but he'll come over. He'll spend time with the kids and then he'll leave and he'll go somewhere else. He's not going to be spending the night over here anymore. I say, you go, girl. You go, girl. Cody makes of that, it appears to be a game. Yeah, it's called baseball. And you're out. You're not safe. I don't know the cues for baseball. But get out. He says, I don't know why she threw me out, but I almost don't care. Almost? At this point, Cody has been mad with Christine for what? 4 years, longer than that, actually. But since she left, she was leaving. We'll say 2. I hate to see the way he would be if he actually cared. Christine explains that you can get a divorce in our church, but it's different. I was never legally married to Cody, so all I need is a spiritual divorce to end my spiritual marriage. But as far as she's concerned, that's between her and God. And the fact that they have not been a part of their church for all those years is why I agree with Christine. I don't see the point in all this other stuff unless you believe in the faith. And it's clear that Christine no longer is a follower. And Christine is taking things into her own hands, and I can respect it. Cody says, I'm just worried about the karma that I'm going to get from this, because my belief system is anti-divorce. You have a belief system, Cody? Because last time I checked, you were divorced from Mary. You aren't doing anything to say that you're married to Mary. You don't even call her. What? He said, I'm relieved to be rid of, this burden and woe of a loveless marriage to Christine. There you have it, folks. He's in a loveless marriage. And he says this more than once. But you wonder why she feels the way she feels, and why her children feel the way that they feel, and why Janelle's kids feel the way they feel. It's because of what comes out your mouth. He loves to put it on just Christine and Janelle and their kids, but it has to do with what comes out of your mouth as well. He says, I'm going to get to, get rid of her. And then he pauses and he says, this really makes me think of what brought us to this point. You did. You brought you to this point because you're a jerk, and because of your belief system and the way that your belief system makes it okay for you as a man not to treat your wife fairly. Now, this is what I don't understand about the Browns and theirs and the Dargers and theirs, because the Dargers, they are polygamous as well, but they are not a part of the church that Cody and them are a part of. And in their faith, he says that they're supposed to love each other. Like, they're all supposed to love each other. So it's different. He wouldn't allow this to go down without trying to figure out what he did wrong at some point. Whereas Cody doesn't see anything that he does wrong. Y'all, tell me what you thought of this one. We don't have too many more of these to do after this, because I think I started reviewing Sister Wives somewhere in season 19. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish it out up to the point where I started reviewing them. And then I'm going to go on to something else. I can't remember the name of it. I haven't started it yet, but someone suggested that I watch this Mormon thing. So I'm going to be doing that, the Mormon Wives or something like that. I know it's going to raise my blood pressure. I haven't even looked at a preview yet, so I don't even know if it's good. So don't hold me to it. I'm going to watch it and determine. I may have y'all vote on what we review next, if I have it, because I'm done. I'm tired of getting all these different streaming services. I don't know. I'm just talking to talk. Y'all know how I get when I get off my notes and I start rambling. But there will be more content after this. Also, go ahead and check what I have out there. There's a little bit of everything up there for everybody. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Until next time.